Hey folks, what's going on? This is Shadow Stars bringing you another video. This video is made because I want to call out this person here. If you can look at the screen here, we got this guy Avi. Don't know how to pronounce his last name, but this guy has been apparently blowing up a lot on Twitter for his DD and for his analysis of AMC financials. And I think that this guy is an absolute fraud. I think he's just really grifting it. He just came out of nowhere. He only hit my radar maybe the past month. But he's just been blowing up from a lot of these apes. And he recently released this new his DD, and I want to go over it. In particular, I want to go tackle his analysis on the fundamentals of AMC. He goes further into the long term, but for me, I don't think we even really need to see the long term. Just looking at the short term within the next year is sufficient. And really, if we scrutinize what quarter 4 2022 and quarter 1 2023 is going to bring, I think that's enough to really destroy his case. So without further ado, let's pull up his actual document here. So he goes the technical and fundamental analysis and other stuff. So TA stuff, I don't know why people use TA on a meme stock. You use TA on a longer term, where you got definitive multiple tests of support and resistances for a stock that's very liquid and trading well. TA can work. But in the case of AMC, for you to use technicals to predict a squeeze or to predict that massive run up, I don't see that being very useful, because the events that happened, like this short squeezes, like GameStop and AMC, they're like black swan. They're extremely rare circumstances, and you're trying to fit a certain type of TA style, some type of pattern, and see that if it repeats itself. But this is a what was the standard deviation, like eight or nine standard deviations. If you look at the testimony that Robinhood gave, if I recall correctly. Don't quote me on that, but I remember that there was some crazy many standard deviations away in regards to what led to the whole meme stock craze and short squeeze craze. So stuff like this, honestly, I'm not going to be tackling it because it's not worth my time. So what? He goes over options flows. Okay, so what? He's looking at March expirations, and what? He's basing it on volume. Okay, so we see volume, open interest. Okay, probability analysis calculator. That doesn't really mean much, honestly, so I'm going to skip that. I want to go on to his whole fundamentals. So it looks like here. So he wants to address fundamentals debt, mother of all short thesis, total debt 5.89, 5.76, long term 133 in current debt. Yeah, 684.6 million in cash equivalents and net debt of 5.21 billion. Okay, so you got a lot of debt, no cash flow, no positive cash flow, really. And very little cash on hand. So how are you going to be servicing this debt? It's simple, it's dilution. So it talks about current debt, what current debt is. We're looking at debt ratio. Okay. Posts a lot of this stuff. Talks about return on capital employed. And how they're, okay, so talking about the debt again, with various interest rates. The the debt maturities and the amounts, principal debt. Let's see, long-term debt, talking about how much they've paid in interest payments. This is an interesting assumption here. Interest payments should be around 400 million, 400 plus million. Something to consider is that they have been changing up some of their debt, replacing some of the more shorter term debt and pushing it off. But also on the flip side, the interest rates on that debt is much higher. Not to mention the variable interest rates on a lot of their loans are going up, especially since the Fed is increasing rates. Let's see, makes the assumption that the company is projected to return to profitability by end of 2025, and 2026 being the big year about the massive debt payments that they have due. The biggest thing here that I really want to tackle is his financial forecasting model. So if we zoom in, so his Q4 analysis here, he projects AMC to get 1.3, what is that? Billion, 1.3 billion, 1.367 billion dollars in revenue. This is based on a projected box office of 2.4 billion dollars. So let's put some context into it. Let's get some data to look at what the box office is doing. I pulled out a lot of this data here, and what I'm going to be doing is actually showing you the source that he pulls from and I pull from. So far, domestic yearly box office, 6.7 billion. What did his model forecast for the full fiscal year? 8.5 billion. So I have his projected box office and the current box office. So how much does box office the theaters need to do for the remaining 27 days? Nearly 1.8 billion. You have little under a month, and theaters would need to do 1.8 billion. Now I pulled up the domestic gross of the past several years. So we have here 2021, 2019. So 2021 we know, pandemic. But past 3 years before the pandemic, 2019, 2018, 2017. Can you find me a month where not AMC, but movie theaters, the whole box office did over 1.5 billion? Or even 1.8 billion in a month? What about 2009 when Avatar was released? Do we see any big ones? I see 1.16. Let's see, 2017, 1.3. But nothing at 1.5, nothing at 1.8. So we already know that this projected box office figure is ridiculously optimistic. But then let's also look at what's the projected for Q4. Q4 is 2.4. Current box office, 1.15 billion. You need to double your current performance with only 27 days left in the quarter. So you have a couple days shy of one full month, and you need to do 1.2 billion. So okay, 1.2 billion, that's possible if we're reverting back to pre-pandemic, 2019, 2018. Yeah, you got months where you did 1.28, 1.28, 1.2. 1.3 back in 2017. But the thing is that we're not back in pre-pandemic. Everyone harps on, oh, hey, theaters are down because slow releases. Yeah, because of slow releases, you can't expect the domestic box office to have the same numbers of pre-pandemic. Thus, this projected figure is going to be nowhere near accurate. And if you look at industry analysts, look at what they're estimating. So I compiled this information about a week or two ago, and look at what they're projecting. Zacks, 1.16 to 1.26. Earnings Whisperer, CNN, Seeking Alpha, Market Screener. Some of these people, they might be using similar source or like the same source, but nonetheless, you're seeing that no one's projecting above 1.26 billion in revenue. So what does that tell you? There's no way that they're going to be hitting their goals. So his revenue target was what? Let me pull it up, zoomed in. 1.367 billion. You go back, quarter 3, 968 million. But you know what? Let's put some more context to this and let's look back. I have compiled from the 10 Qs quarter 2 figures. Quarter 2, 2.3 bill. So let me verify that. Let's go back here. Quarter 2, 2.32 billion. Quarter 2. 2.32, quarter 2. So this figure is correct. That quarter Q2, they still had a net loss. The revenue was 1.16 billion. If you are projecting from AMC to have 1.36 billion, you're projecting Q4 to be even better than Q2. That goes on the assumption then that, hey, the box office will do better than Q2. Q2 was 2.3. And what did we say? We're currently at 1.15. The amount of money that you need to reach this figure, it's almost impossible. And you know what? Let me show you the breakdown. So right now, actually, before I do that, let's pull up the daily figures. So if we look on a basic Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, these days, very slow. Box office averaging, what? You do a rough estimate, let's say 5 million? 5 million a day? That's across, what, 4,000 plus movie theaters? And AMC only owns, what, a bit under 600 in the US, right? And then on the weekends, you're doing, what? Let's say 16, 17 million right now? The thing is that you don't have any major movies coming out. Because look, you have your November releases, your big ones, somewhat mentionable ones that had nationwide releases. And you got December releases. You have Avatar. Obviously, that's the big one. Not coming out till the 16th. Puss in Boots, 21st. Babylon, the 23rd. So let's put this into context with some previous movies then. What did Avatar do? The first Avatar, 2009 Avatar. It did 308 million in 15 days. It did 478 million in 30 days. But that's 2009. Let's put this into context with a movie that did great this year, Top Gun. Top Gun Maverick. 357 million in 15 days. 511 in 30 days. Well, let's think about this. Avatar comes out December 16th. Quarter 4 ends end of the month. So you have what? 16 days? So let's say it matches Top Gun. Black Panther couldn't do it. I have Black Panther figures here too. Black Panther did 340 mil in 15 days. Black Panther hasn't been out for 30 days yet, but 393 in 24 days. It's slowing down. So it's not going to be anywhere near Top Gun's figures in 30 days. But nonetheless, let's use the most optimistic figure. It matches Top Gun then. 357 in 15 days. You have how much you need to go to? You need $1.2 billion. But Top Gun, let's say, brings in your Avatar matches Top Gun. Let's make it easy, 360. So 1.2 bill minus 360 million. 885 million more. So what other things are coming out? Puss in Boots. Okay, well, let's put this into context. 2011, the first one, it did 92 million in 15 days. Well, Puss in Boots is only out for what, 11 days? So okay, be optimistic then. Let's say that does another 100 mil. $785. Babylon. We got no clue. But let's look at what sort of movies have done on a monthly basis. So let's say it's a good movie. But it's not like a Marvel or any of those kind of comic books or whatnot. In a month, let's say very optimistically, it does 200 mil in a month. But the thing is that, look, it's out for a little over a week. So let's say it does 150 mil. That's really optimistic. You still have 600 plus mil to go. And with your biggest movie pulls not bringing in the money, as I showed you, on a daily basis, even with Black Panther out, on a regular day, these things are only pulling in 5 mil. And this figure is going to get worse. It's going to slow down as time goes on. Less and less people are going to be willing to watch Black Panther. It's a normal progression down. You can look at Top Gun. Look at Top Gun. Look at how it trickled down. You have a strong start, obviously, when the movie is brand new, brand spanking new. You got 50 mil in a day, 38 mil, 36. But after 2 weeks, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're pulling in what, like 17 mil? But then on a regular day, 6, 7, 6, 6. And it just continues to trickle down. You'll have pops on the weekends, but regular days it'll continue to go down. Black Panther, same story. Started off strong, 84 mil. But guess what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2.2, 2.6, 1.9, 1.8 mil. Daily box office last week, 5 mil average. you don't have any really big movies coming in to hit. Violent Night came out, but that wasn't a mega grosser. And as we've shown, you don't have any big movies coming out until Avatar. So for the next 10 days, movies are going to be slow. And even then, it's a massive Hail Mary to expect that Avatar is going to be pulling in all the money that you need. So this figure is very unrealistic. Let's look at Q2, just to put it into perspective, because everyone's expecting Q4 to be suddenly so much better than, to be the best quarter of the year. I'm sure the bar is set low for Q3, but Q2 was the best quarter so far, and it's supposed to be Q2. Well, month by month, let's look. April versus October. April was better. May versus November. November was slower. June and now December. Will December beat this figure? Will December beat 968 million? I don't know. Nonetheless, it needs 1.17 bill to match Q2. And I just don't see it happening. So that's why when I did my figures, I see that, hey, to be very optimistic, domestic box office will be lucky to pull 2.1 bill. As I mentioned, right now they're at 1.15. So they need to do nearly 1 bill more. And as we've shown with the movie breakdown, even if it matches Top Gun figures, Puss in Boots does amazing, Babylon does amazing. Even that best case, I'm saying 2.1 bill is going to be the best you can do. And from that, your revenue is only going to be, I'd say, coming around that 1.07 bill. Sure, compared to other estimates, mine ranges on the lower side. My range is from basically 1.02 rounding up bill to 1.13 bill. Holding similar margins across the board, I'm saying AMC is going to be burning another 120 plus mil this quarter. So that's going to bring their cash on hand down to $554 million, if not more. I haven't even factored in the extra debt payment that they need to make. But also on the flip side, I can't calculate how much dilution that they'll do to Ape to raise money. Now that's just for Q4. So let's look into Q1 then, Q1 2023. Let's look at the releases that are coming out. I only see one big hitter, potentially. Man Called Otto. Avatar came out mid-December, so it still will continue to go through January. So partly January's covered. But we already know Q1 and Q3 tend to be the slowest quarters. Well, February, what they got? Magic Mike. That's on, what, the third? This is part 3 of that whole series. You have Ant-Man. So you have another, whatever, like Marvel movie. But Ant-Man has never performed as good as the other ones, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Thor. It's not in the same tier. it doesn't perform as well. And then I've been seeing a lot of hype about this Cocaine Bear movie, but nonetheless, so I don't know if it's going to be doing that well. Then come March, you have a lot of release bigger names. You have Creed 3, same thing, third movie. You have Scream 6, Shazam, John Wick 4, Chapter 4. But you put these into comparison. Look at what Q1 did 2019. Q1 2019, you had Aquaman that came out near more towards the end of December. You had Spider-Man come out mid-December. You had Bumblebee come out near end of December. You had Lego movie. You had How to Train Your Dragon. And then March was Captain Marvel. That was a big hit. But how are these releases? Because come January, the only new hit you have is really the Auto movie. Babylon, Puss in Boots, Avatar, these are all hangover previous releases from December. So similar to this, but are they going to have the same staying power? Is it like a Spider-Man? Is it a Bumblebee? Is it an Aquaman? Puss in Boots is like what? Like a... Is that a Pixar movie kind of? Or Disney, whatnot? Let's look it up. Puss in Boots. I looked it up before. Let's do it. Universal's making it. But Magic Mike, Ant-Man. Ant-Man's not on the same level as Captain Marvel. How to Train Your Dragon. Spider-Man, Aquaman. Maybe Aquaman would be similar here to Ant-Man. But all these, we already look at what Creed did 2018. 107 mil in 30 days. Scream 5, I guess this year released, 72 mil in 30 days. Shazam, 134 in 30 days. John Wick in 2019, 146 mil in 30 days. Q1 is still going to be a slow release. So you have Q4 that's going slower than expected. You have Q1 that's going to be slow. So that's nearly 4 months of slowness in the movie theaters. So tell me, how is that positive for the company? Q3 ended with 684 million cash equivalents. I'm projecting that you're going to be burning cash in Q4 this year, and they're going to be burning cash in Q1. Because we look at historically, Q1 2019, they burned money. They lost 124 million. So if they can't beat pre-pandemic Q1 2019, how are they going to be profitable? They're probably, because Q4 is stronger than Q1, historically, you're going to have 2 quarters of losses. This 684, I would say you're going to be near that 400 mil range of cash. Factor in that additional debt payment that they have due by the end of this year, and then factor in the debt covenant, the minimum liquidity that they have of 100 million that they need to have. They're dangerously running low. So what does that mean? That means that they're going to be diluting Ape more. I don't need to be looking at this model of 2024, 2025. I can just look at the next couple months and see that, hey, this is not good. The short thesis is not dead. So this guy who's super bullish, he's already very negative on his investment. He's a grifter. I classify him as a grifter. He's pumping his stock based on his terrible analysis of the fundamentals, and he's hoping that, hey, other people will buy in and he'll profit off of that. It's an absolute scam. People like him need to be called out on their absolute bull. AMC is not financially very strong. That's just the straight facts. And I'm basing it on how the box office is doing. The box office is very slow. Let's look. 2019, 11.3 billion. Where are we right now? 6.7 billion. We're what? 60 something percent of 2019 figures. The company is not profitable. It needs other streams of revenue. And whether those other streams will be successful, whether they're popcorn venture, their credit cards, their Zoom, yada yada, I don't know. I can't predict 100%. But I don't think that they'll raise enough money to survive. I can tell you just by looking at the current movie releases coming out, looking at how previous movies have done, similar, whether these are sequels, prequels, whatever, looking at that information, looking at how movies have done on a monthly basis. We look at the domestic box office, also those figures too, daily, weekend, holidays, monthly, quarterly, looking at all those figures, and we can see that, hey, there's no way these figures hold up. 2023 figures will not hold up, because his 2023 figures, he's projecting a 20% growth on figure of 2022. That's already going to be super off. This projected 8.5 billion. You need the box office to do nearly 1.8 billion in under 1 month, 27 days left. And you need a 20% growth on that for next year. Well, what happens when you don't reach this 8.5 billion? What happens when it's only 8 billion? How much of a growth do you need? Let's plug in the number. 562 979.6 divided by your 8. If the box office only does 8 billion, let's make a nice whole round easy number, you're projecting a 28% growth next year versus this year. And that's already with, you see, a slow Q1 release. We already have facts stating that, hey, average movies take about 2 to 3 years to produce. So if basically end of Q3, start of Q4 2021 was really when things started getting back into movie making, given the let's say 2 year short span, let's be super optimistic. So Q4 of 2023 is when you get some of the releases to hit, but you don't know if they fully ramped up to that same production. So 2023 is still going to be slow. That means you're still going to be burning money. And we already see that with the mountain load of debt that they have, all that money that they're bleeding out due to all the interest payments, when are they going to be paying back their debt? When are they going to be cash flow positive? When will they be able to service their debt? Right now, they're pushing the debt maturities further back in hope, buying themselves more time. But they just don't have enough cash flow. They need to dilute the stock more. That they need to raise more money through APE, bring in more revenue. But as we see it, if we base it on their current regular business model of just movies and concessions and stuff, it's not going to work. So Q4 and Q1 2023, it's going to be a lot of pain. And I think it's absolute nonsense. You have a person like him pushing that, hey, don't worry about the fundamentals, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. No, it's not fine. He's fudging the numbers. He's fudging the numbers to make it seem like, oh hey, no issues here. When you make assumptions that, hey, box office will do 8.5 billion, do 90%. And next year, you'll have an increase of 20%. Then the following year, 15%, and then 10%. So he's saying 2024 will basically be back to pre-pandemic. That's very optimistic. And if you look at how box office is done, look at it, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 was the highest, and 2019 sloped back down. You might not have years where every single year is a growth on growth. You might have a stagnant or a slowdown. 2015 to 16 grew, but 2016 to 2017 slowed down. 2017 to 2018 grew, but 2018 to 2019 slowed down. So for you to consistently expect 20%, 15%, 10% growth on growth is not realistic. This is just pure hopium. And I hope that people who are logical, who can look at the numbers, the figures, the data with some rationality will understand that, hey, his financial model is the absolute basically the best case possible. And even then it's stretching it, to be honest, in my opinion. For me, I'm using more historical information to project out how movies will do. So this is my counter to what I think will happen. Avi has a ridiculously optimistic one. I think I have a much more realistic. My projection, I'll always be open to revisions. Obviously, as more data comes in, things can change, the models can change. This guy hasn't changed his model since, what, October, I think? Which is absolutely ridiculous. Like end of October, I think is when he first did the analysis. But I'm saying, at best, 2.1 bill projection for domestic box office gross. Not the 2.4 this guy projects. And even then, I think that 1.1 bill left to go with 27 days is not reachable. You would need a performance on par beyond what Star Wars 8 did back in 2017. And I don't know if Avatar will have that same pull. Nonetheless, this is my take. This is just my opinion. but this is based on my analysis of the data I see. I don't have a position, a short position or a long position in the stock. For me, I just like looking through numbers, analyzing it. I want to see what other people think. I want to understand how other people analyze it. And if I see that it's absolute yes, I'll call them on it. And for folks to be preaching it and saying that, oh, this is correct, and for you to buy, it's just disingenuous. It's pump and dump. These are nearly pump and dump scammers. These are grifters. They're taking your money. They say, oh, not financial advice. But their analysis is absolutely lacking. And I know I'm not a financial professional either. This is just my take. And based on the numbers I see, it's not possible. There's no way this is profitable. So take it with it as you will. But this is Shadow Stars. This is my thoughts on how Q4 and Q1 will go. As more data comes in, I will update my figures, and I probably plan on posting weekly updates. Probably make a video. I'll update some of the tables and put them on Twitter. So hopefully, if you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, and feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, ShadowStars13. Until next time, folks.